Yo, it's your man with the plan, Mark Solars here to talk about the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC expansion passes. And just to clear the air out from just the get-go, this is before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, there's a few things I want to talk about, or at least say. And what I kind of want to talk about before I start this video is just the reputation of Pokemon Sword and Shield and how I understand that there's people on both sides that really love this game and don't like anyone say anything bad, or there's people who don't like this game and really don't like anyone say anything positive about this game. And I gotta say, if that's you, you probably don't want to watch this video, because this is, I really just like talking about my experience about the game and what I did and didn't like. And I know that's people are going to down in the comments are going to talk about like, oh, the decks or the graphics, and the same thing we've been hearing for at least a year to it's almost going to be probably 2 years soon. And the thing is, there's so many more people out there who are better qualified, that are better or even bigger fans than I am of the series, that just have excellent videos, high quality editing, high quality bullet points and reasoning behind, you know, why to dislike or like Pokemon Sword and Shield and what it means for the series. And I probably agree with both sides of why it's good and bad. And there's just so many videos, and just this is not the place to be going, you know, looking for opinion like that. This is literally just a dude talking about a game that he likes, or a game that he thinks is good enough for me to talk about. Because, spoiler alert, other than a few videos I've done on my channel earlier, probably way earlier in my career, I normally only talk about things I like, guys. Like, for real. Like, why would I talk about something I don't like? That most likely, if I say I'm playing a game and I'll talk about it, it's either because I don't feel like I want to talk about it, or two, I don't like the game. So most likely, if you hear about a game on this channel and I have the time to talk about it, I like it. Or I like it enough for me to talk about, like I said. So, you know, if in the comments I better not see like, oh, the decks is this, or the game is this, or the characters are this, the story is this, because I'm not qualified enough to give you an honest opinion. I can just tell you how I feel about something, and if the decks was something about the decks I didn't like, I'll tell you, but I'm not the person to come to air your concerns. And I hate doing this, but I have to put this disclaimer at the very beginning. I hate doing it, though. So, for those who are still here and didn't get turned off by the beginning of this video, it's time to talk about this DLC and just how I got to go through it, and what I did through it, and what Pokemon I liked, and all that other stuff. And I want to kind of start with how I felt about the original Sword and Shield. And if you really want to see like in depth or how I felt, or at least my initial reactions, I don't know if I still have on my channel, but I do have streams of both the beginning, the end, and the little post game we had before the DLC came out of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So if you want to know, like, see what I was like when I was playing the game originally, before the DLC got announced and all that stuff, you know, probably on my channel somewhere. I don't know if they're all available or not, but, you know, search it. But let's give you guys a summary of how I felt about the game. I thought it was okay. I felt like the game had half of what the average Pokemon fan is looking for, and I honestly think that's the reason why the divide between people who like it and don't like it, like where the divide kind of stems from, is because the game feels like it has a lot of stuff for competitive, it has a lot of stuff for, you know, shiny hunters, a lot of stuff for, like, especially the hardcore fans. But it feels like for people who like the exploration of the world, and people who like you know, trying to fill up the full decks from this, like, other than it was the 200 they originally had, or was it 400 they originally had? I thought it was 200, but whatever little amount they had originally, if they wanted to have all the mons in there and that's the challenge they like, because I know people who finish the decks in like a week, which is ridiculous, with work and school. There was somebody who was working and doing school and they finished the decks in like like no time flat. So I can see why some people feel like this game isn't for them, because it is missing a lot of stuff the average Pokemon fan was craving, especially from a next gen experience. Because there were some things that were worse than Sun and Moon, but there were some things that were better. There's some things that they did do better, but that didn't offset a lot of things they felt like they took out to versus the stuff they made better. But overall, I did like the game. I felt like I said, I felt like it was good enough for me to play a little bit longer, but I felt like after I did a few things and a few max raid battles, I was ready to put it on the shelf. And when I mean put on the shelf means most likely I won't touch the game ever again unless for a special circumstance. So the DLC got announced, and I felt, I didn't really feel too excited about it because I wasn't too excited about the original game exactly. It was just, it was okay enough for me to, to go through. And I did a Nuzlocke of it too, so I kind of went through it like 1.5 times. And I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. But my cousin, which is a cousin I might have talked about a few times back in the past. So there was few people who were on my channel back then. The one that me and him always be playing the same stuff. At least for a while, we were playing the same stuff. I think he has a little bit of a different taste now than I do, but he is often the one we play. When we playing Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, he was often the one who kind of, everybody has that friend or that family member who kind of inspires you back into a franchise or makes you look at your franchise in a new light, and that's him. And I wasn't originally going to get the DLC. And he's always on the competitive side, so he was going to get he's always going to get the Pokemon game. Like he's the one who's always going to get any Pokemon game. And he told me that he wanted to play DLC with me. So I was like, you know what? What the hell? You're coming over, we'll get the DLC and we'll chill with it. So I got the DLC, and I originally started with the Crown Tundra. And just as a disclaimer, because my cousin was playing with me, my opinion about the Crown Tundra is probably going to be a little bit more on the positive side, since I was having fun with a family member that had really had pretty much the same passion I did for the series. We both had the same passion for the series, I think, and that kind of probably fuels how I feel about this DLC, at least the Crown Tundra by itself. So I got the Crown Tundra, and right out the gate, I was just blown back by how much space, like the wild area had versus the last one. It was just so big. Don't quote that. And it just felt so wondrous. Even at like people always say the graphics or whatever. I mean, if the graphics were on fleek, like it was like Breath of the Wild graphics, oh lord, I would be nutting. But it was very enjoyable. I gotta say, the exploration of the area, and they have the legendary catch quest. That was fun too. I think I probably spent it depends on how you catch your legendaries and how you went about it. But I did a lot of max raid battles with my cousin, which is really fun. They have this new version of max raid battles where you just kind of go through a cave and you choose your mon, and it could pretty much be almost any mon that they added through the DLC and from previous games. It even be starter Pokemon that they had there, because I remember I had a Blaziken. I went against a freaking Blaziken in the max lair. I think it's called max lair. That's what it's called. And we probably done almost maybe at least half of the legendaries, a little bit more, maybe even through 3/4 of the legendaries in the max lair, and it was just so much fun. I love the max lair, and it might been a little dull to some other people, and I really can't tell you because I was with my cousin, so we were just shooting the shit while playing it. But I really like the max lair. For the calyrex story, I actually like calyrex a lot. I think the idea it was unique. I think that's one thing I feel like anytime Pokemon does anything, when it does do anything unique, it just blows everybody back. Or it just feels right. It feels right when they do anything unique. And I feel like this is the way they handle Calyrex. Even though the story is really whatever about Calyrex, it's just the way they handle it. Like how they had him talking to another person and all that stuff and had you help him. That was so fun. And I'm not going to really talk about it any more than that because you just experience it for yourself. But oh my god, I loved the Calyrex quest. The Reggie quest was okay. The Legendary Bird quest was amazing. I had to go to all the wild areas throughout the game to catch the Reggies, and that was one that really fun. I mean, not the Reggies. I said to go through the Reggies. I mean the Legendary Birds. I knew I was saying something wrong there, but the Legendary Birds. And you went through the areas and caught different legendary birds, and they ran around the areas in different ways, and they had their own little trick to it. That was really fun, and it's kind of what I expected from Sword and Shield originally in the first place. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. But I gotta say, well, as I say, disregarding with my cousin, like, if I were to, like, probably take out all the time I took with my cousin to go through the max raid lair and a few other things, how much time I will probably spend on the Crown Tundra overall? Probably 5 to 10 hours of content if you squeeze the lemon hard enough. Depends on how you feel about that stuff, because it's literally, the Crown Tundra was literally catching Pokemon, nothing else. So if you don't like catching Pokemon, that 5 to 10 hours will probably go down to like maybe 2 to 4 hours worth of content for you. It just depends on what version of Pokemon you like. What about Pokemon do you like? And like I said, that's the same reason why I said the game is a split, because it's for that very reason. It depends on what you like from Pokemon. But I really like the Crown Tundra. I think a lot of the new Pokemon they added looked actually a little bit better than the ones that are in the game. I don't know, they added a different shader to it. Like Suicune looked really good. I don't know I think that was a standout when it came to graphics. Suicune looked really good, and so did some of the other mons. But overall, I really don't know what else to really say about it, because it is very much just like a catch-a-thon, fun time with friends area, for me at least. Which kind of brings me to the second part of DLC, which is the first DLC that came out, but the last one I played. And this one I played by myself. I think my cousin left the second I started the Isle of Armor. And this one, to me, was something I felt like should have probably been in the game originally. And I kind of get into the reasons why. But I didn't enjoy this one as much as the Crown Tundra. And I can't really tell you why, because it was so similar in some ways. But I think maybe because it was so much still, like, a lot of it still reminded me of the main game. To where it was actually better than like how I felt about the main game, but it still didn't hit my G-spot when it came to some of the things that I was doing. But the first thing you do, since I was playing Shield, I got Avery, which I watched the sword cutscenes. You get the other chick, which I think is cute. She's cute, number one. Number two, I like Avery, but I just think that the other chick is just more charismatic than Avery. Avery was just okay. He was just okay as a rival for Isle of Armor. And I feel like they had you battle. He was one of the few battles they gave you, like out of like 10 to like 12 battles you got. And I felt like they made him so weak, so weak. Because I know the first battle's always just a benchmark battle. Like I don't think a lot of people know that, but the first battle you battle Avery is a benchmark battle, I think, to make sure you're the proper level to go to the Isle of Armor. I think they had the same thing for the Crown Tundra. I don't know if the level scale or not, but I don't think they do. So I think they always have a battle for you as soon as you get off the train in the Crown Tundra and the Isle of Armor, and that's the first one. And he only has 4 Pokemon, and they're all pre-evolutions at level 60. And he's supposed to be your rival and most likely you're going to be after game when you're going against him too. And I don't know, I didn't like Avery because I didn't like Avery that much. And like I said, like I'm going to kind of talk about, the Isle of Armor is more story heavy. So you first meet this character named Mustard, who's the Isle of Armor's master and his hot wife. Disregard what I said, the second thing I said. And you just kind of go around and treating this Pokemon named Ursafu, and who starts at level 10. And it, you know what, it's an okay side quest, whatever side quest, side story in, DLC story. But it really felt like it was just there for you to like have excuse to go to the island and do stuff around the island, other than just giving you the island and just giving you the mon, the new mons and stuff. Like they're like, oh, if we need to add something to it, and it literally feels like that a little bit, because there's not really much to do on the Isle of Armor. I'm not gonna lie, other than catch, like it's less than even the Crown Tundra, and it really didn't really impress me. I was like, oh, no wonder why people were mad about the DLC, because I heard in the grapevine people were kind of mad about the original DLC for the Isle of Armor, and I can kind of see why. But since I got it at the same time as Crown Tundra, I don't really feel that fatigue that other people felt. But overall, when it came to like the Isle of Armor, I only like one battle. And that was the final battle against Mustard. I love that battle. I just felt like he was on even grounds with you as long as your Pokemon were at level 100. So that was really fun. Really, really, really fun. And when it came to the character, like the characterization of Mustard, I liked what they were trying to do with him, but he wasn't that interesting either. He was okay. I think his other persona, if they showed that a little bit more, would have been a little bit more interesting. Because I'm learning about Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon X, Sun and Moon. The biggest, like when it comes to like story and like appeal, the biggest appeal for the Pokemon games, I gotta say, at the current Pokemon games, is the characters. Like when it comes to like stories and it comes to different ideas, the characters are so good. The story around them, but the character's so good. So that's why I was so disappointed about the Isle of Armor, because I feel like even the charms of like the modern Pokemon games didn't really hit it that well. But overall, the Isle of Armor was good, but I still think the Crown Tundra was just beautiful. Just hit my G spot. And if they can continue to do that for the next Pokemon generation, I believe that they will have a really good idea on their hands. Now they need to upgrade the graphics and give themselves more time to figure some more stuff out, so they don't just kind of, so it doesn't feel like they were rushed. Because I'm a strong believer that you can feel it when somebody's not trying in the game, because video games are like art. Video games like art. You can feel when somebody's not trying to make a game. You can feel it when somebody's not like they don't have enough funding. You can feel it when somebody's rushed. You can feel it when somebody tried really hard. You can feel it when somebody, thought about stuff in high, in intense detail. You can feel it in the game. And I felt like the game, like somebody was rushing the people who were making the game. Not exactly the actual creators themselves, like the people who are the developers, but I felt like somebody on the higher ups were kind of rushing some things about the game overall. But I think that this DLC has really opened my eyes to what Pokemon can be. And like I said, this is probably just a rough spot. They probably were just rushed. And maybe the corporate heads know after this giant PR scandal. I don't know how big it is from the outside. Like, this could probably just be like a few just 100 people yelling online, or this could have been like a big thing where they actually saw it and like, okay, we can't rush this next Pokemon game. I can't tell you, but I hope that they learn what they had to learn from this game, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I believe that the Crown Tundra was a great way to end out the Pokemon Sword and Shield saga, especially after what I consider to be a very polarizing beginning. I believe it had a decent ending. And is it worth $30? No, not really. I would say it's worth $20 to $15. I think $30 is a little steep. I think $30 was a little steep for the DLC, even for what it did give us. Because a lot of the stuff felt like it normally would be in the original Pokemon game. But overall, if you do have this game and you have the extra, and you like Sword and Shield, and you have a little bit of cash to spare, I would buy the DLC for it. I would recommend you buy the DLC. If you didn't like Sword and Shield and you're wondering if the DLC is going to change your mind, I don't think so. I would think you should just wait until the next Pokemon game to see if they will change anything. But, like always, it always depends on your preference and your taste. So, I hope you guys hit me with a thumbs up and or a thumbs down. It doesn't matter which one, because I know I'm going to be getting a lot of freaking thumbs down just for even saying any of the stuff I said. I don't know how positive or negative this sounds like in post-edit. Like, for real. In post-edit, this might sound like the most negative piece ever. I hope it doesn't. But, hopefully, everything works out fine. If not, I love you guys anyway. You know, please hit the subscribe button, the little bell icon, please. And make sure you guys have a damn good one. I'll see you next video in the stream. Bye-bye. Hopefully.